Hi, this is Leah from Palm and Grace. This video is going to be a comprehensive video tutorial of our Client Tracker Spreadsheet. We're going to go through all the unique features of this product so that you can use it to the best of its capabilities. So without further ado, let's get into it. The very first tab is the Start tab, and you're going to want to make sure to fill out this tab before anything else in the spreadsheet. Now, one thing that's important to note is that you can come back to this sheet and add more information later as you see fit. At the very top of the tab, you're going to add in your currency symbol by either typing it in or copy and pasting it in. And then you can select your week start date from the dropdown. Now we filled out some examples here so you can see what they may look like, but you can fill out each of these options to best fit your business. So you can add in client types, client status options, different services and projects that you offer, some categories for the services and projects that you offer, client sources, and then over here there are 3 drop-downs that you can customize. You can add in titles here, and then you can add in the options below. Each of these 3 drop-downs are completely optional, so if you don't need to fill them out, you can leave them blank. Scrolling down, you can add in to-do list categories and to-do list status options. You can add in invoice payment methods, communication log contact types, and lead contact types and lead sources. Once you've filled out the details on the Start tab, you can now move on to the rest of the spreadsheet. The next tab is the Dashboard tab. Now, since we don't have anything filled out in this spreadsheet yet, you can see that this tab is currently blank. However, as we begin to add in information, things will start to populate here in the Dashboard tab. So for this reason, we'll come back to this tab later. After this is the Client Database tab. This is your all-in-one information tracker of your different clients. One important thing to note about this tab, as well as the tabs in the rest of the spreadsheet, is that it's super important that you fill out the columns that have an asterisk sign. If you see the asterisk sign, it means that the data that you input into that column will automate some of the data on the Dashboard tab. So again, anytime you see an asterisk sign, you should try to fill out that column. So let's fill out some information on this tab. The very first thing you'll want to do is add in a company name. Then you can select from the dropdown and pick the client type. You can then add in a status, a service or project, and then a category to go with it. Then you can add in any details in this column, and then add in a lead or source. Throughout the spreadsheet, to add any dates into the cells, you can simply double-click the cell and select the date from the pop-up calendar. However, you can also type in dates by typing them using the month, day, year format. So for example, I could do 6/2/24, and the date would go in there as well. Moving on, you can add in your custom drop-down options that you customized in the Start tab. Now, in the Client Database tab, there are a lot of different information options. If you don't need any of the options, you can easily hide those parts of the spreadsheet. So for example, I didn't add anything into the second and third custom drop-down options. So I can go and hide them by selecting those 2 columns, right-clicking, and clicking Hide Columns. So I can hide them by selecting the columns, right-clicking, and clicking Hide Columns. You can also make columns larger or smaller by clicking on the line up here and dragging. Now, if in the future I wanted to open up those columns again, I can easily click these arrows up here and they'll expand once again. Next, you can add in contact information, and you can add in contract dates, such as the sign date, the start date, and the end date. When you add in different end dates, the status options over here will automatically update to show you if your contracts are currently going or if they've ended. And as you can see above this column, there's a checkbox. There are multiple columns in the spreadsheet that have the same feature. You can check and uncheck this checkbox to add in colors to that column. This can help you with organizational purposes. Next, we have the onboarding checklist. This is a really great place to keep track of your client's onboarding information and progress. To fill out this section, the first thing you can do is fill out the titles. So for example, maybe it's send email 1 and send email 2. You want to have as many columns as you need for the onboarding process. So for example, if you only need 2 sections, then you'll want to delete the 3rd column. If you need to add in another column, you can right-click this cell here and click Insert Column Left, and then you'll have another column to add to. Once you have your columns ready, you can then begin checking off the progress that your client has made. You can click this checkbox up here to highlight in green any clients that have fully completed their onboarding process. In the next section, you can add in the client's social media handles if necessary. You can edit the headings up here, and you can add in any mores by right-clicking and clicking Insert One column left. The next section is the client files. This operates exactly like the last section. With Google Sheets, you can only add in files existing within your Google Drive. However, you can also add in locations, emails, and more. To experiment around with this, you can type in a box and just click the @ symbol. After that, different files, different dates, and other things will pop up. You can begin typing to search for specific files and for different places to pop up, and more. Then just click something to add it in like that. And if you don't want this section, remember that you can just hide the columns as well. The next section is the payment method, where you can add in different information for that client's payments. And then after that is the invoice summary section, the invoice status section, the last invoice section, and the upcoming invoice section. All of the following sections, which are in blue, are completely automated. You don't need to add in anything here. As you add in invoice information, the data will automatically populate here for you to see. And then finally, we have the notes section over here. When you type in notes information, you'll see that they will be cut off here. However, you can just double-click the cell to see everything that you have included. We set the spreadsheet up this way to keep the format the most streamlined as possible. Here's an example of what the Client Database tab looks like when more information is filled out. As you can see, you can select different clients from the dropdown to view their specific information more easily. Remember that you can check and uncheck these boxes up here, and here's what the invoice section looks like when there's more information filled out. One last thing that I want to note about this tab is that you can easily sort and filter right in the tab. So for example, if I want to sort by client last name, I can click these 3 lines here and click Sort A to Z. Then you can see it automatically updates just like this. The next tab is the To-Do List tab, which is an all-in-one tab to track all your tasks that you need to do for all of your clients. One quick thing to note about this tab is that the darker columns like these are completely automated, and you don't need to add anything into these columns. This is the same for the rest of the tabs in this spreadsheet. So to add a task, first you want to add in the client that it corresponds to. When you select the dropdown, you'll see a list of all the clients that you added into the Client Database tab. You'll also see an option for none if your task doesn't correspond with a specific client. When you click a client name, an arrow emoji will automatically appear next to it. You can click that emoji to jump right back to that client in the database to view all of their information. This makes navigating throughout the spreadsheet a whole lot easier. After you add in the client, you can then add in the task. You can then select a category from the dropdown, you can select a priority, you can select a status, and then you can also add in a start date and a due date. If your due date is in the past, then you can also add in any notes over here. If you keep scrolling to the right, you'll see a section over here that will show you all the tasks that you have to do in the upcoming week. You can also see how many are incomplete and how many have been completed. I'll show you what this looks like in a more filled out spreadsheet very shortly. Beneath it, you'll also be able to see all overdue tasks. So for example, if the due date was in the past, then that task would appear over here. You could then click the arrow to jump right back to that task to view its full information over here. If you keep scrolling, you'll be able to see all the tasks that you have due for each of the days in the upcoming week. This can help you to stay organized with your tasks and see what tasks you have upcoming that are due and when. And again, you can click that arrow and jump right back to the task. Now here's what the To-Do List tab looks like when you've filled out a lot more information. You can check tasks off when they're complete, and the charts will automatically update. And you can also see what it looks like over here. Now you may have noticed this section to turn colors on and off. When you click that checkbox, you'll be able to easily see what tasks have been completed, and you can also see what tasks are overdue. Overdue tasks will appear in red. If a task is due on the current date, it will be bolded for you to easily see. And just like the other tab, you can sort and filter on this tab too. The Invoices tab is an easy and organized place to track all of your clients' invoices. Now similarly to the other tabs, it's important to note that the darker columns are all completely automated, so you don't have to add anything into these columns. To add an invoice, the very first thing you want to do is add in an invoice number. Then you can add in the client or company, And as you can see, a link back to that client will appear here. Then you can add in the issue date, you can check off if it's been sent, and then you can add in a due date. The number of days until it's due will automatically appear here. Next, you can add in how much is due, and as clients send in payments, you can update how much has been paid. Once an invoice has become paid, it will cross off so you can easily see that it's done. If you add over the amount that's due, the status will turn to overpaid. If you add under the amount that's due, the status will turn to partially paid. After that, you can add in the date that the invoice was paid and the method that was used. As you can see, based on when the invoice was paid, you can see if the payment was on time or late. So if I change the date that the invoice was paid to after the invoice was due, it will turn to late. This is a great way to track which clients are paying their invoices on time and which ones are not. Now up here, you'll be able to see a bunch of information for any given year. Choose the year that you want to view, click on the box up here and type in the year. So for example, if I want to view for 2024, I'll type that year in and the charts will automatically populate. If you keep scrolling to the right, you'll see a section where you can sort and filter your invoices by lots of different criteria. It's easier to see how this works in a tab filled out with more information. Here's what a tab with many more invoices filled out looks like. As mentioned, over here you can sort by many different criteria to view certain invoices. So for example, if I only wanted to view unpaid invoices, I can uncheck the other options here. And as you can see, only the unpaid ones show. I could sort it, for example, by invoice number, and maybe I want to view just for the month of December. So it's super easy to do. You can also search for certain clients, payment methods, and if the payment was on time or late, or if there's been no payment yet. Now as you can see, there's another turn colors on and off section up here. If you check this on, you can easily see which invoices have been paid, which ones are overdue, which ones are not due yet, and their status as well. So this is an easy way to better see the status of certain invoices, but it can get a little overwhelming, so you can check it right back off if you want to as well. In the section over here, where you can sort and filter the invoices, you can click any of the arrows to go back to that invoice and update it over here. And again, you can also sort and filter using the filters over here. You just can't do it by multiple criteria, which is why we provided this section over here. The next tab is the lead tracking tab, where you can keep track of all of the leads for your business. Add in a lead, first add in the client or company name. You can then choose to add in a contact name, a contact email, or a phone number. After that, you can select from the drop-down how the lead contacted you or how you contacted them. You can also add in a source, and then you can add in the service that they're interested in that you offer. If you'd like, you can then add in details as well. After that, you can add in the category that the service they're interested in corresponds with. You can then add in dates for the first contact, the last contact, and when you'd like to follow up with them. Once you've done that, you can check the box here. This follow-up date will appear on the dashboard tab, so you can easily see which leads you need to follow up with and when. And lastly, you can add in status options. These options will already be in here for you. As you add in different options, you'll see that the lead to client ratio and percentage will automatically update. When the status is changed to client, the ratio and percentages will go up. But when a client becomes declined, it will go back down. So it's important to make sure that you at least select client or declined so you can see the information over here. And again, you can check the box up here to turn the colors on and off. The next tab is the Smart Calendars tab. This is a really great tab to see at a view how many tasks you have due, how many invoices you have due, and how many follow-ups you have to do for different leads. Now, since we don't have a ton of information inputted into the spreadsheet, I'm going to go to a spreadsheet that has more information in it. I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet that has more information inputted into it. To see information in this tab, first select the month and year you want to view. Nothing will appear until you select both the month and the year. Once you do this, the calendars will automatically calculate. For example, in the first calendar, you can see how many tasks you have due for the remainder of the month. Tasks that have happened in the past will appear in this lighter color, and tasks that have not yet happened, because the dates either today or in the future, will appear in these blue colors. And the same is with the Invoices Due calendar and the Lead Follow-up calendar. Once a month and year is selected, you can also scroll down and look for a specific date within that month. So for example, if I look for June 22nd, you can see the tasks that are due on that date highlight here. You can also see that number highlight up in the calendar, so you can easily view it. You can select different dates or the same date. You can select different dates or the same date for the different calendars. Lastly, you may notice at the top that there are some different options you can check on and off. So for example, for the By Tasks Due calendar, you can check this box to only show the number of incomplete tasks due versus the total number of tasks. And you can do the same with the invoices to only show the invoices that have not been paid. And you can do the same over here to only show the follow-ups that you have not yet done. So hopefully this tab helps you with organization. The next tab is the Single Calendar tab. In this fully automated calendar, you can either see tasks that are due, invoices that are due, or lead follow-ups that are due for any month and year. Once you select the month, year, and what you'd like to see, the calendar should automatically update. So as you can see down here, you can see the tasks that I have due. All of these tasks are clickable back to the To-Do List tab, or to the Invoices tab, or the Lead Tracker tab. So you can easily jump right on over to that task, invoice, or lead follow-up. Once it's complete, that will update on the Calendar tab as well. So as you can see, tasks that are complete have the green check mark, and the tasks that are not complete have the gray arrow. On this tab, you can also search for a specific date. So maybe I want to search for June 18th, and the respective tasks or invoices or lead follow-ups will appear there. You can also see an automated progress in this bar here. If you scroll to the right, you can see all of the tasks, invoices, or lead follow-ups due for that month. However, if you have a ton, it may cut off down here, so we show you how many of the total number for that month and year are showing up above. And we also have that on this side as well. And again, to switch it, you can just select something different from the drop-down, and the calendar will automatically update. It's as easy as that. The next tab is the Checklists tab, which contains 4 fully customizable checklists. To use each checklist, you can first change the title of it at the top. Then you can add in a task below and any notes that go with it. Once you check off the tasks that you've added, the progress bar above it will automatically update, and this is the same for each of the following checklists. As you add more tasks below, the progress bar will also update to match that. The next tab is the Communication Log tab. Here you can keep track of any communications with clients, leads, and more. To add in a communication, you can first begin by typing in the name of the client. You can also add in the names of clients or potential leads that are not included in your lists. You can then add in their contact name, the date, the contact type, any information, and any notes. You can also use this drop-down here to highlight any specific communications. Once a name is selected, you can see how many communications you have with them as well. If you scroll to the right, you can sort and filter your various communications. So for example, you can search by a specific name, and then you can search by a specific type if you'd like, and you can also sort by ascending or descending order of date. The next tab is the Testimonials tab, where you can add in various testimonials from your clients. This tab is incredibly easy to fill out. First, you can add in a client name, then a contact name, then the date of their testimonial, the source, you can add in the quote, and then you can add in a rating. To do this, select from the drop-down, and you can click a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star. You can also sort by rating easily over here. The next tab is the Services and Calculator tab. On this tab, you can easily keep the prices of your different services and even estimate how much you'll make per month or per year. As you can see on the left, the services that you offer are automatically inputted from the services that you added into the Start tab. After the service, you can add in the type of service that it is. Then you can add in any specific details, and then you can add in the costs. After that, you can add in estimations of how many services you'll be doing for each month, and you can input them into this column. Once you add in those numbers, the number per year will automatically calculate, which is just this number multiplied by 12, and then you can see month and year estimations of how much you'll earn. The final two tabs are the Invoice Template tabs. Now, as you can see, we have two designs, and you can also see that both of these tabs are locked. These tabs are locked because they're the template version of this tab. So whenever you want to use it, you're going to make a copy by right-clicking and clicking Duplicate. Then you can use the copied version of the tab and keep the locked version as a template that you can keep making copies of whenever you need one. However, before you start using these tabs, you want to first add in important business information up here. Now, when you add in the information, you may see an error sign pop up, but you can click OK in this instance because you do want to change what's in these tabs. However, if you see an error warning outside of this, just click Cancel so that you don't mess up any formulas. So I'm going to make a copy of this tab to show you an example. You can rename the tab by double-clicking on it, or you can right-click and click Rename. Once you have a copy of your tab ready to use, the first things you're going to do is select who you're billing to from the drop-down. This will show a list of your client names. Once you select a client name, if you have their address in the client database, it will appear here. However, if you don't, you can always just type over the formula. You can add a second address if needed. After that, go over to the invoice dropdown and select the invoice number for that client. This will automatically pull the date issued and the date due from the invoice tab. After that, you can select the different services that you're billing them for. As you can see, when I select the services, the price will automatically appear. If for some reason the price is different, you can just type over it. After you do that, you can add in the quantity, and all the numbers will update, including the subtotal. If you want to add in any discount, you can do that down here, as well as any tax. And after that, it's pretty much done. You can also add any payment information here. You can also add any payment information here and update your company information down here. You may want to do that on the template version instead, so when you make copies, the information will automatically copy over. Once you're done with your invoice, you can either print it or save it as a PDF to send. To print the invoice, you're going to go to File, then to Print. Make sure you select Portrait. And once you do that, your invoice will be ready. If you want to save your invoice as a PDF, you can go to File, Download, PDF, and make sure it's selected Portrait, and then you can click Export. Your invoice will be saved as the name of the tab. So for example, if I save this invoice as a PDF, the name would be Example. As you can see, when you go to print or save the invoice, the drop-down arrows do not appear, so it looks clear and streamlined. Lastly, if you need to use a different currency, you can easily change that. To do this, select from the description row and drag down to the last dollar amount. Then click the More Number Formats option and scroll down. Then click Custom Currency and select the currency symbol that you need. Once you do that, it should automatically update for you. And that's how to use both of the invoice tabs. Again, going back to the Dashboard tab, here's more of what your spreadsheet should look like once you have more information filled in. As you can see, there are different parts of this tab. You can add in different years or even select different drop-down options. We truly hope that this spreadsheet is functional and able to fit your needs for your clients and for your business. If you have any questions at all, please be sure to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. We truly hope you enjoy the Client Tracker Spreadsheet. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and we hope to see you around again soon.